This is the packet that you're going to get. Not all of you. This goes to either faculty or staff. Students, we don't want to burden you down with more books because we know you already have a ton of books that you're carrying around. In this packet are 3 books that you will take to the child, to the school with you. And also, there are pencils, 1 per classroom, and there are 27 pencils in a grouping. That should be enough for the classroom. If for any reason you get to a school and you don't have enough pencils, please call me or let me know after you get back, and I will see that that school gets its share of the pencils, because that's important to little children. Melanie is actually going to go over the books with you. This will also be in the packet, and I think you might have one in front of you. These are tips on how we think it's a good idea to read to children and keep them engaged. Now, if you look at the books when you do get your packet, this one, I Know I Can, is from an organization, I Know I Can, and it's a pretty lengthy book, has a lot of things in it that are important to children, and they think that we should say some of these things to them. I'd like you to go over it and maybe paraphrase it and talk to them about the things that are in it. You would not have enough time probably to read this whole book. The other 2 books are I Like Myself, which is a great one, and this one from last year, Spike Lee. So Melanie, darling, you're up next with how we're going to read to children and ask them questions.
Sometimes we tend to think that our goal is just to read the book and get to the end and then we're finished. With young children, even 1st and 2nd graders, the goal is for them to be involved and to participate. So we welcome their interruptions. And sometimes their interruptions have to do with the book, and a lot of times their interruptions don't have anything to do with the book or your discussion. So you can kind of keep it back on track, but just realize that with young children, they are going to interrupt. They have things to say. It may be what they had for breakfast or what their dog did this morning and have nothing to do with the book, and you acknowledge it. And then say, now let's go back to the book that we were reading. So just the best thing you can do is be familiar with the book, so read it yourself if you have a chance to. Know what kind of questions they might ask, some comments that you might make with it. And then if you would please, before you start to read, always mention the title, give the author, give the illustrator. Early childhood people, even children who read to people who are, or adults who read to children who are 2 and 3 years old, start with the title and the author and the illustrator, so children start to get that idea that people write books and people do pictures for books, and here's the names of them. So please always take a few minutes to talk about, what do you see on the front? This book is called I Like Myself. It's by Karen Beaumont, and David Catrow drew the pictures. What do you think this is about? What do you think about her? Picking on you. She does have crazy hair. It looks like kind of crazy hair. Do you notice anything else about her?
She's smiling.
She is smiling. She looks really happy. And the book's called I Like Myself. Just that kind of conversation to get children's interest and notice what the book could be about, and then pausing. Because when you get to a page like this, there's going to be a child who says, that's the one that's on the cover. They're going to notice that even if you hadn't. And then just a comment about, you're right, let's look at that cover again. That is that girl with that crazy hair and that big smile on her face. You're right, she's on this page too. So adding those kind of comments as you're reading to children, and where you can, asking open-ended questions. And open-ended questions are simply questions that don't have a right or wrong answer or a one-word answer. So even asking something about, what would you call that machine? What do you think that does? How would it feel to be on top of that machine and writing it? Those kind of questions, because again, your goal is not just to finish the book, but to engage children as you're doing it so that they can add their comments and their experience and share that with you. How do you think she feels in that picture? Happy. She looks really happy. She's kind of getting a hug from her dog, and that feels good. So comments like that. We've picked wonderful books for you that we like very, very much, and hopefully the children will too. So when you start out, I would expect some children to say, I can't see, I need to move, he's in my way. So plan on a few minutes of time to talk about, get some place where you're comfortable, get some place where you can see. Oh, you might need to move a little bit if you can't see. Let's see how we can do that. So plan a few minutes for that. Get some of those wiggles out. Start your book, again, with the author and illustrator. You got to have an enthusiastic voice. You got to use your voice to carry the story. So again, if you can practice with the books a little bit, that's really helpful. And just get children to engage and participate while you're reading to them. And these books are staying at the schools. They're donated to the schools. They're donated to their libraries, so in case you didn't know that. And you can make reference to that. You know, if you want to hear this book again, we're leaving these books at your school, so your teacher will be able to read them to you again or something. You're going to have a lot more interruptions. You're going to have a lot of wiggling. And then just that practicing, really, of holding a book like this so they can see the pictures, and you get really good, right? You get really good at reading this way. Giant steps. What do you think that's about? So again, one-on-one, they're going to be able to see, they're going to have your full attention, and now you got 20 children vying for your attention. So there may be more interruptions. And if interruptions get too much, keep bringing it back. You know what? I think we're going to read the end of the story. I think we're going to read another couple pages, and then I can get that question. You know what? We are almost out of time, so we're going to get to this. So you can keep kind of bringing it back to the story if the interruptions get too much for you.
Read the books. If you have the opportunity ahead of time because you have the book packet, read it ahead of time. If you don't have the books, you can stop in Union Hall 141. We have a set there that a person could stop in and practice reading if they wanted to. Because, like I said, we're not giving the packets to students because you have too many books already, and we don't want you to confuse these with yours. So you can stop in the ECD lab in Union 141 between now and next week and practice reading these books. This book needs some practice, I think. It has a lot of words in it, but it's a fantastic story. It's about great accomplishments in life from when you're a small child until you're an adult, about some important people that children can identify to. They're people of today that they would know and recognize their names. So, but all these stories are about positive things for children, about positive who I am and what I'm about. I know I can because I'm me and I'm special. And then this one is a kind of a mentor piece. So that's really the message we want to get across with these, I believe. Some other things we want to talk to you, though, about besides the tips on how to read and how to ask questions and what to expect from the children, we would like to let you know what we expect from you, too. An important thing is that you're there on time. Please don't go at 11 o'clock because this is earlier than that. What time are we supposed to be there? 9:30? Between 9:30? Yeah. And you will all get assignments from the table in the back with your name on it, the school you're going to, and some other important things along the bottom. If there's an emergency that morning, my cell phone number and Barb's number are on here. If you need to call any one of us, car won't start, you're sick, that place isn't going to be covered, please, please, please call us because it's real important that we know that so we can get someone else there. We would like you to think about what you wear. You could wear Columbus State logo shirts if you want to. I have a really wild one at home I'm planning on wearing. It's bright pink. But that would be really nice. And children like fun clothes. Not to say that we want to wear too less or that we want to wear jeans with holes in them and those kinds of things. We want to make an impression on them that college is a serious place, but it can also be a fun place. So that's what we want to keep in mind when we go and see them. Golf shirts would certainly be fine. I would take my hat off if I were in the building, if I were a man, or if I were a woman that wore hats, ball hat caps. I think that would be appropriate. We don't know what the school dress rules are for each of these schools, so you might want to think about even call ahead and ask them. Because there could be some schools that have no caps, baseball caps in school. No logo shirts. I'm sure we can wear our Columbus State, but anything else would probably be kind of inappropriate. I really don't want to have to go to, and I don't think I need to with this group, about too tight clothes and those kinds of things. The lead in the group Now, most schools will have two sets of 2 people. Some schools will have 3 sets with 2 people in each set, or maybe 5 people, 2 and 1. The faculty or the staff is always the lead, and they have the books with them. However, that does not mean that we don't want to give our students an opportunity to read. I think in first case scenarios, I know this is how my partner and I worked last year. She wanted to read, and she did the reading, and she did a fine job. So if your student feels comfortable doing that, or take turns, if one person read and then the other person read, or one person read in one classroom, when you go to the second classroom, then the other person reads. But both of you get to read, and both of you should read. It's fun for the children, and it's fun for you. It makes it a lasting experience. If you don't see your person here, and maybe they'll come this afternoon, there are enough lists back there that everybody can take a list to get in contact with their person. I don't have anything else. Emergency contacts, we went over that. Essential communications, expectations, volunteers, team. Any questions? Did I miss some things? What you do when you go to the school building is you always check in the office first. And I think that's on this agenda, but we'll just go over this real quick. You always check in with the principal, or I noticed on some of those it said the contact person at the school was the guidance counselor. If there's a contact person, check in upon arrival. They will direct you to the classrooms. And so like last year, I had to sit in the office for about 15 minutes because, no, I wasn't bad, but because the principal was really busy with people coming in and what have you. We can't, if you don't get started at 9:30, that's fine. Don't be pushy. They have a lot of things going on the first thing in the morning. Some little child had a meltdown. I mean, you know, all those wonderful things that happen in school. So then they said, you're going to be up in these 2 rooms. A secretary or an aide took my student and I. We met. Actually, my student partner and I met here on campus, and I drove because I knew where we were going. And a lot of times if you have a student partner, they don't have a car, they don't know where they're going, they don't have the money for gas. Like most of us, they're poor, but they're even poorer. You know, it's hard to be a student. So if you can drive and you know where you're going and you want to meet here, I thought that was a good plan for us. So we got to the school, we found the parking, we went in, and then one of the people in the office took us up to the 2 classrooms, let the teachers know, and we went to 2 classrooms, and the teacher got the children. It was so sweet. They were all in this space that couldn't have been any bigger than that corner, and they were just wonderful, wonderful children. They were, I think they were 2nd graders, and they were really interested in the books. The student read them. She read really well. They asked a lot of questions, and then because we were going to go to the other room, we probably spent 15, 20 minutes in that classroom, and then we went to the other room, which seemed larger, and those children, again, they all got comfortable. The teachers were most gracious. The teachers were just so, so nice, and we read to them. The thing that upset me the most was I didn't have enough handouts for those children of the pencils or the bookmarkers we had. And so that's why I want you to let me know if you don't have enough, because we will get back to that school with more things for them. We don't want that to happen again. There's nothing quite so sad as a disappointed child when everybody else might get one. So in that case, when I didn't have enough, I just gave them all to the teacher and let her distribute them at her discretion and her convenience. Because some rooms they say we're giving pencils out this time, they might put them all in the writing area, or they might disperse them. You know, every school's different how they do stuff like that. So we read, we left the books with the teacher. She knew they were to go to the library. We went downstairs, we checked out in the office to let them know we were leaving their building, because all these buildings are very secure. And then that was it. We came back to campus. Does that help and answer your question? Absolutely. That's the day, the morning of a read-in. And we came back with tons of smiles on our face and something in our heart for a long time, because it is really a joy.